I'm Arthur Moats, and I'm here to tell you about my new book, The Moats Theory of Life. If you haven't picked up a copy yet, I strongly encourage you to. This book not only is a fun read, but it's a guide to helping you become a person of impact and inspiration. If you are ready to take the next step to improving not only your life, but those around you as well, go get a copy of The Moats Theory of Life, and it's available at moatstheory.com. What's up? It's the Arthur Moats Experience with Deke. I'm Arthur Moats, and that's my main man, Deke.
What's up, Dick?
Man, you know what it is. Another day, another podcast, another episode brought to you by DRAFTKINGS Sportsbook. You know, America's top-rated sportsbook and app. And for all the first-time users, you know them first-time users, right? When it's like, oh, it's my first time using this thing.
We were all there once.
You gotta walk before you run, you know, and so forth and so forth. But for all the first-time users out there, if you use the promo code MOATS, I like that promo code. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I like that promo code. If you use the promo code MOATS, you will receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. I know you like free money. I like free money. We both like to watch games, and we like a little bit of extra juice. So if you're like me and Deke, what are you waiting on? Download the app, use the promo code, and get an opportunity to make a little money. And you know what we got an opportunity to do this weekend, baby?
Bounce back.
Same. Yes. Chance to bounce back. I was going to say the same opportunity we had last week to get that 12th victory. Now, last week, obviously, we were talking about getting that 12th victory in undefeated fashion, but that ship has sailed. It's okay. We're not tripping.
Still
That's
one
the beauty
seed.
of the regular
Still one
season.
seed.
Absolutely. So with that being said, man, we got a chance to get that 12th victory. I mean, it's a lot on the line for us this week in terms of trying to clinch a playoff spot. Obviously, we're in the race for the division championship with the Cleveland Browns. Now, they have a big time matchup this week as well, going up against Baltimore. I mean, I feel like all three of us, between us, Baltimore, and Cleveland, this is some big time ball taking place this weekend, man. I'm excited about it, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of good games this weekend.
Absolutely, man. This is going to be one of those weekends where you just sit back and you just enjoy these games, man. Because when you talk about just first off this Bills and Steelers matchup, I mean, Bills sitting at 9-3, we're sitting at 11-1. As it stands right now, we're the 1 seed, but they are the 3 seed, I think, as it stands today. So they're right in that same mix. They're eyeing that 1 seed overall also. So there is a lot to play for both parties. Not only that, but then they're in the same boat as us in terms of trying to clinch the division title. They have Miami, who's surprisingly done really well this year. I think they're sitting at 8-4 right now, 1 game behind them. So they have a lot going on. It's just one of those games where you don't have to have any excuses of, well, they don't have anything to play for. This team's a little bit weaker or that team's injured. This is that situation where this is what you want to see, especially late in the year. December ball, baby.
We might be a little banged up.
Well, this is the thing, though. The reason why I said we can't use that excuse, because they got a lot of people that's banged up as well.
Sure.
So that's why I'm like,
I had to throw it out there. I wanted to hear your rebuttal. That's
absolutely.
all.
And I was waiting on it. I'm like, yeah, if we want to talk key people, they got key people at every position, just like we do.
Good team versus good team.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. So that's, to me, what's so exciting about this matchup. And there are a lot of similarities, man. I mean, obviously, we've talked about, and nationally, they're starting to talk about this a lot more, just the similarities between Josh Allen and Ben Roethlisberger in terms of their playing styles and stuff like that. But even with these teams, I mean, you talk about having really good defenses. Now, obviously, the Bills have been a little inconsistent, large part due to some of those injuries, whereas now we're starting to deal with these injuries a lot more these past couple of weeks. But both of these teams have very strong defenses, man. They're good up front. They have really good secondaries and good linebacker play when healthy. So when I'm looking at that, I'm like, dude, I'm really enjoying this. We both have top-notch skill level players, man. When you look at the receivers that the Bills have, their running back situation is very similar to what we have going on here in Pittsburgh as well, man. It's just across the board. It's almost like a mirror of each other, man. And that's what I'm excited about. And both teams' offensive lines at times have struggled. If we're talking about from an offensive standpoint, speaking of like what a weak point could potentially be, both of these units, the O-line has come up in some standpoint, whether it's been pass protection or in our situation, the run blocking stuff. But there are a lot of similarities between these teams, man. I'm just, like I said, I can't lose. I'm so happy right now. I'm excited, baby.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking going through all this. Like, you could go through all the ways that Steelers could win. that or that we could lose. And
man.
it just comes down, it's like really little things, dude. It's really little things back and forth because they have really good safeties, they have one great cornerback, a couple good linebackers, a couple good guys on the defensive line, and we kind of have all those elements too. Same thing, we have good receivers, they have good receivers, good quarterback. In our case, great quarterback. Josh Allen's getting there. I don't want to take any shots or anything because I'm only going to say good things about Josh Allen on this thing.
I will say this though, because I'm glad you said great quarterback play by Ben. Statistically, you said that Ben is an MVP caliber. Ben is on this tear and all these other things. I just asked that you check out Josh before you say Ben great this year. If Ben's great this year, what does that make Josh this year? That's all I'm saying.
I could say he's been great this year, but
that's all I want.
It goes back to the whole thing I've talked about, playoff, late game, that type of stuff later in the season. That's all. I have nothing bad to say about Josh Allen. I really don't. I just think Ben's in a class above him. That's all I got to say. So I had to make that distinction clear there.
Okay.
But it's not a knock at all. Trust me.
It definitely is a knock, though.
It's not.
A class above him this year in 2020?
No,
not 2020. If you're talking career-wise, absolutely.
It's just who I would take. Who I would take with the game on the line. Next game, fair. You know what I mean? That type of thing. Hey, playoff game, fair, whatever it is.
That is fair. That's fair. All I'm saying is this, man. A lot of people are going to be surprised. That's all.
About Josh Allen?
Absolutely.
I'm not. Dude, I've seen his games. He looks great, dude.
Trust me, a lot of people will be surprised. It's okay.
What do you mean?
It's okay. Keep going.
Wait, surprised about what? Like, he's been great this season. I agree with you,
but this is my thing. For you to say that Ben is a class above him this year, that lets me know that you're gonna be surprised because it's not even close. Not even close, bro.
No,
Ben you did say that. You did say that.
It's because that's the quarterback I would take. That's the quarterback I trust.
That. But it's a difference between saying that's the quarterback I will take, that's the quarterback I trust, and that quarterback is a notch above this quarterback. You may not trust him. You may not like him, whatever it may be. Not even in a malicious sense. I'm just saying because obviously Ben is our guy, right? But what I'm saying is this. To say that Ben is a notch above him this year, that's inaccurate. That's all I'm saying. If we're saying career-wise, if we're saying who we would take, without a doubt, we both would agree.
I'm not even talking career-wise. I'm talking right now, though. If I'm going in the playoffs, I'd rather have Ben.
Yeah, well, that's fine. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm simply saying this. You making the statement.
He might play awesome here. I'm not going to be surprised about that at all.
You're making the statement that in 2020, that Ben is a class above Josh Allen this year. That is very inaccurate. That's all I'm saying from my perspective. I've watched them both every single game. I've watched every single tape of them, all their plays. It is not the case.
Fine, we could say both great because I am saying Josh Allen has played great this year. I just would take Ben over Josh Allen.
Which is completely fine.
How about that? We'll both put them that way. We'll both put them, let's say there's an S tier, there's an A tier. Let's both put them in S tier for quarterback play this year. There's perfect. There's 6 or 7 guys you would put there. But I would just take Ben over him. Yeah, and how about that? Perfect. How about that?
That's no. All I'm saying is,
here's my problem. I said
that at the beginning.
Well, I got stuck up because I said good. I kept saying good receivers, yes. And I said good quarterbacks. So I had to make a distinction. That's what happened. I had to.
Yeah, well, and I just felt like it's my job that if I see something or I hear something that's not accurate in that standpoint, that I had to just speak up. That's all, baby.
Bro, because trust me, I've actually seen probably Josh Allen more than any other quarterback in the league outside of Ben because, you got that Bills connection and everything. I've been impressed this whole time, this whole season, and everything I've done leading up to this podcast. I'm looking back and I'm like, dude, he makes plays. What can I say?
And I will say this, too. This is a totally different tone from you compared to last year. Last year was way different. This year, you do respect me, and I'm with you on that. I give you a hard time simply because of, like I said, the wording of class above him. I'm like, not this year. We're saying career without a doubt. If we're saying who we would choose without a doubt, we're both picking Ben. If we were talking about winning the game today, we're talking about winning the game in the playoffs this year. But that's just based on our personal preference. That's not saying that what we've seen from Ben has been a class above Josh this year. That's all I was getting at.
Sure. No, 100%. I can't deny that. I mean, you want to talk about the MVP race or even like the stats, like him, Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers. I said him, so I guess that's either or. So Ben and Allen, all that class, they're all there. Man, Russell Wilson.
Because for me, when I was thinking about it, honestly, this year, I said I do feel that in terms of your Mahomes, your Russell Wilsons, who's the other guy I'm thinking about? I'm drawing a blank right now. Oh my goodness,
Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers. That's the other guy.
Brady was there for a little bit,
but I felt like those three have remained there for the longer part, right? And then I feel like the next guys I said Ben, I said Allen, I said Deshaun Watson. I personally feel like those 3 guys have been in that category of like literally right on the cusp of tapping into that. But those 3 guys that we just named at the beginning part, I feel like they've been able to do it and give you the flair like we talked about and just in general in terms of, all right, they both could have thrown for 300, but you see how Mahomes did it. It's just a little bit different. It has more flair to it, but that still doesn't take away anything from the other guys. I just feel like we're those in terms of Josh, Ben, and Deshaun, I feel like they're right on the cusp this season of taking that step into that realm right there. But like I said, it's just a 2020 what we're reviewing. We're not talking about career-wise because obviously it wouldn't be a debate if that was the case. But for 2020, that's what we're talking about.
Well, sure. And I've stated all my reasons why I would take Ben and everything. Like, we don't have to get into that or anything. But so, all right, what do we want to get into here?
I did want to start with our offense, though, man, because obviously we had some pressing. I mean, obviously we talked about it a lot in the podcast earlier this week, some of the questions about the running game and stuff like that. But just overall, man, just breaking down this particular matchup, man, the Steelers offense against that Bills defense. I'm excited about it, and at the same time, I'm a little bit nervous about it. Excited because I love how our skill players will match up against their skill players. In terms of their linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds, obviously Matt Milano was I think it was his first game back from IR last week against the Niners, so he didn't play nowhere near the amount of snaps, but seeing how they match up in terms of when they're going up against James Conner, who'll be back this week, how they open field tackling on him. Obviously, when you talk about Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland, who's been used a good amount, we saw him in big time action late in the game, especially last week against Washington. How do those matchups work? Then on the perimeter, we know what Tre'Davious White is, but opposite of Tre'Davious has been a little bit different, man, between Levi Wallace and some of the other guys that they've used over there. I want to see, man, I feel like we could take advantage of that. But my biggest question is up front, do we have enough to consistently not only protect Ben? I feel like we'll be able to protect Ben, but can we get movement up front? Because that defense, you're not going to be able to beat them being one dimensional. That's the part that makes me a little bit nervous. I love our skill position guys versus their guys right now, though, because like I said, they're still a little bit banged up. And our guys are frustrated. You're coming off of a bad performance. We've heard about the league leading 31 drop passes and all this other stuff. Those guys are going to be motivated. They're going to be ready to go. You heard Coach Simon talk about, man, if you're not catching the ball, we'll look to find other guys who can catch the ball. I feel like, man, those guys are going to respond to that, though. They're going to come out here and be a lot more focused on the fundamental element of the catch, right? Just the looking the ball in, squeezing the ball with your hands, tucking the ball away, then proceeding to make a guy miss. I feel like we're going to see a lot sharper version of them, and that is going to definitely create some problems for that Bills defense from a passing standpoint.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Everything I was looking up, like Tre'Davious White, obviously all pro and all that type of stuff. But outside of that, little bit of a struggle at cornerback with like Levi Wallace. So it's just trying to find that mismatch there. And the Bills rush defense, obviously we talked about it. They're really inconsistent. There's some games where they actually do pretty well.
Yes, it's
but
weird,
then there's other games where they're getting completely gashed.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking before doing this podcast, I'm like, man, I don't care what their rush defense is, because how many times over these past however many games we're like, man, this team that we're playing, they don't have a good rush defense. We should be able to gash them.
And we still struggle there. Yeah,
so I'm like almost chalking it up to, man, we might only get 50, 60 yards on the ground here. Like,
but I will say this, I'm not even opposed to 50, 60 on the ground. That's way better than the 21. But I just wanted to be an effective 50, 60. You know, like, whenever it's situational third and short, right? Or we need to pick up 1 yard, we can at least get that. When it's late in the game and we might have a lead and we need to close it out, I want to see some of those runs being broken off where we can close that game out. Effective running doesn't have to be over 100 yards, you know, and a lot of people, they do always equate that with that. And we've talked about that multiple times. You can run effective situationally without having to have gaudy numbers.
I would actually say that's something the Bills have been able to do well, is they do have some games where they do have some good rushing numbers. At the same time, there's other ones. I think you could even point to last week where the numbers aren't anything crazy, but I think they did try to run it over like 25 times.
And situationally, they ran the ball effectively. It was just, man.
But their main thing was Josh Allen.
Yeah, he was his own. He was in his own.
We'll get more into that whenever we talk about their offense versus our defense. But yeah, dude, I'm getting exhausted talking about the running game, and I really am, dude. It's every week. It's like 5 or 6 weeks here. How do we fix the running game? How do we fix the running game? And then you sound like a broken record too. Like, dude, I'd like to see motion. Bro. I'd like to see some different things here and there. I'm just getting exhausted with it, so I've given up on it. I'm just assuming we're not going to be able to do much here, and hoping that if we do what we did last week, maybe there's a different iteration of it with Connor coming back. Maybe we do run it a little bit more, but. You know, if we do pass it for 40, 50 times, just hoping these receivers catch the ball, it might be a little bit of a different story.
Which we both said last week. If you cut those, if the drops instead of 7, if they were 4 drops or 3 drops last week, we get out of there with a win. Let's be real about it.
How would you compare Washington's cornerbacks versus the Bills? I mean, maybe you could give the depth nod to Washington a little bit.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like when you're talking about outside corners, when we talked about Kendall Fuller and Ronald Darby obviously was a former Bill as well, those guys were good players, right? We said they're not great, but they're good quality pros, right? We know with the Bills, like I said, out on the opposite of Tre'Davious, like I said, it's been a revolving door. They had Josh Norman out there a little while. He went down. We can go down the list of the guys who've been over there. The one saving grace that they do have is their safety play. That has been able to help them out between Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde. But it's still, I just feel like when you start going over to that second corner and then you bring in that nickel corner and so forth, that is where I think the dam does break for them. Whereas with Washington, we said, man, they made good tackles. They tackled well, and they still had a good amount of players who were able to come in and still be able to play at a high level. We talked about my younger guy, Jimmy Moreland. He was a guy that was featured a lot.
He played really well
in terms of some of that stuff. Now, I do got another young boy this week, though, for that Bills defense. My man, Dean Marlowe. Shout out to JMU. That's my guy. I made sure I didn't wear any JMU today. I didn't want to throw anybody off. I didn't even go football. I went basketball. You see, I got a Michael Jordan shirt on.
Is that Jordan?
That is Jordan right here. I wanted to just lay it low. I ain't want any problems.
The last shot. Why is it in blue? Is that for like a Layne shoe?
I think so. It's definitely a shirt that goes with those sixes right there, I believe. So yeah, that was the whole purpose of it.
Royal blue.
But I was like, I'm staying. No, I don't want any problems. All right.
Although, dude, you might get some heat for the blue.
Man, this is a basketball Michael Jordan shirt. Come on, man.
Hey, dude. I'm sorry. Maybe I brought it up, and now people are thinking about it. No one thought about it before I brought it up.
Dude, between you, my radio show, I'm doing Steelers TV. Missy's like, yo, are you working with us this week? Or are you working with Buffalo? I'm like, come on, this is what we're doing. Like, we're in Pittsburgh right now.
Why can't we just appreciate Moats for this?
Just let me think, man.
This is such a unique perspective and insight we're getting from you. You know,
why should I have to pick a side? I picked my side.
You already did.
I always have to keep picking my side. That's what I'm saying,
You live here. You do basically a Steelers podcast. Yeah. So why can't we just appreciate that? That's fine.
Just appreciate. Hey, that's why you're a real one, Deke. I appreciate you. Golly, man.
I try.
But as a whole, man, just with this Steelers offense, I do feel very confident in their ability to move the ball on this Bills defense. Now, this Bills defense, like I said, you touched on it too. They have been inconsistent. Sometimes they have a great rush. Sometimes they make great plays in the secondary. Sometimes the linebackers play at a great level, right? Then you see sometimes where it's down. It's not to that same extent. And you see them struggle as a whole to get off the field. You see some of the penalties show up a little bit as well with them. So to me, those are the things that I think that Ben can take advantage of. We know Ben, in terms of you fooling him, you're not going to do that too much. Like, he doesn't get fooled a lot. And he still does a great job extending plays. That has still been in his game.
You saw it a couple of times.
Absolutely, man. And when you talk about just how well, for as bad as the offense line is played in run blocking, they're like it's not even close. I think Ben's been sacked 10 times maybe this whole season. And we know how pass dominant this team has been. So to me, knowing that Ben is going to have time, knowing that Ben is going to have his weapons going up against a little bit of I don't even want to call it a down unit, but a little bit banged up unit from that Bills secondary, their back end. I think that that's a great situation for the Steelers in that standpoint.
Yeah, no doubt. Now, with the running game, this is actually something we never brought up. It's brought up a ton, though, in the comments. Kevin Dotson.
You want the Dotson, man? You want Dotson? Is that Dotson? Dotson? This one said Dotson?
All right, who goes out then? We're not taking DeCastro out. So
Fowler's been playing well all year, man.
We take Fowler out of left guard, move him to right tackle then? But then Chooks has been playing decent.
They did that when Chooks went down.
What's better for the run game, though? Would that be better for the run if we put Dotson over to left guard and then we move Fowler to right tackle?
I'm sure if in a climate like this, it sounds good, right? It sounds like it should work. Dotson has shown that he could play right guard really well. He stood up like a big dog in those opportunities, especially when DeCastro was down. So we have seen that from him. Playing the left side, it's going to be a little bit different just from a footwork standpoint, but I don't see why it should be too much of an issue. But I think the biggest thing is, how comfortable are you continuing to shuffle not just one person, but now two people? It's different if you're just bringing Dotson in, only he has to adjust. But now when you're talking about bringing Dotson in and moving him over here and not having to move Matt over here, well, now you have multiple players who you're going to have to adjust with. And now obviously Matt has proven that he can do that, but I'm not a big fan of moving multiple pieces. If I'm just trying to address one thing, I would like to move as small amount of possible, just because guys play better when they're comfortable in their spot, when they know what they're doing, they can study the ins and outs of it. They don't have to learn a new spot on the fly or go back and try to fine tune something on the fly. Whereas when you're talking about moving multiple guys, you're going to ask two people now to adjust. And then not only that, it affects Al, because now Al, who might be accustomed to how Matt gives some inside help in some of these scenarios. Okay, what is Dotson's inside help like? And then on the contrary, DeCastro on his side, now he has to say, okay, I've been accustomed to Chooks for how many games
for
now?
This season,
this season. And now I have to revert back to how Matt does it. So to me, I just don't like that per se during a game week. If it was a bye week, I like that, right? If it was a bye week or whether it's regular season bye, whether it was a week after a Thursday night game or something like that where you got a little bit more time, I like that. But when you're talking about a regular, and I mean, realistically, we played, was it Monday? Yeah, we played Monday night.
This is the 12 games.
The 3 games in 12 days. So it wasn't even a lot of time to really dive into this thing and say, hey, look, man, we got this plan, guys rested, we're going to go that route. So to me, I'm looking at it like, man, you stick with what you have for this particular game. But then after that, now you can start reassessing and saying, all right, maybe we should make a move.
So you don't think it's a bad idea?
I honestly don't. No, because Dotson has proven that he can run block. We've seen that. We definitely saw that. And then he stood up in pass protection as well. So I'm not opposed to getting him on the field. I just want to do it in a way where we don't have to move as many people. Now, in terms of how we do that, I mean,
I guess it would be Chooks, the odd man out.
That's essentially the thing, because you're not taking DeCastro off. And obviously Matt Fowler, he's proven that he can start at both left guard or right tackle. So essentially it would be Chooks. But like I said, if you're going to move multiple people, I'd rather you do it when it's not a 3 games in 12 days type of scenario.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess with our offense versus our defense, it's going to come down to the receivers, and maybe if our running game can get going, we'll see. Yeah. But I'd probably just bending the receivers versus our cornerbacks. That's kind of the main thing that we're talking about here.
Absolutely. It's going to be. I'm really excited to see how Levi Wallace holds up. Like I said, it's been times where he plays really well, and then it's been times where he plays, and not even bad, but just average or just good, right? And I think that's the difference. That's where I want to see how that matchup plays, because Tre'Davious, I want to see, is he going to follow Deontay, who is the high target guy, who's been the main target guy this season? Remember last year, Tre'Davious, I want to say he followed Deontay last year. He was around him a lot in that action. I want to see, does he match it with him? Does he match it with Claypool? Does he match it with Juju? Because then from there, now we're going to get to see Levi on either Deontay, Levi on either Claypool or Juju. And that's why I want to see how he can stand up for 4 quarters. I think he'll do a good job, but I don't know if he can sustain that for 4 quarters versus those type of guys.
Yeah. One more thing about, I guess, the Bills defense too, that's kind of weird. And it just goes back to everything we talked about of just, sometimes they're really good. Sometimes it's like the inconsistency. Yes. Like, dude, they held Mahomes in check for the most part, even though they did have a lot on the ground that game. Held Mahomes in check. Like Russell Wilson, this was like at the peak of all the MVP talk and stuff.
Yeah, they got after Russell.
Held him in check. But then at the same time, you have like Goff going off against you, Kyler Murray, the comeback.
Especially like the second half for Goff. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, there's been a couple like second half comebacks that they've given up. So yeah, that kind of goes hand in hand with what we've been talking about too. Maybe something to watch for. I don't know.
Absolutely. Like I said, I feel like we have the advantage as a whole there. I just think that we still going to need to have something that looks similar to an effective running game. Because if you allow those guys if you allow Jerry Hughes and Ed Oliver to just put their hands down and just rush the passer for 4 quarters, they're going to have success. That's what they do well. Now, if you're talking about them having to stand up against the run for 4 quarters, they can do it, but that's not what they want to do. Ed Oliver, for example, who's more of a natural 3 technique, right? So, and because they run in more of a 4-3 front, right? When you're talking about a 3 technique, he's going to be wide in that B gap, right? Outside the guard, and he likes to get up the field. They've been playing him as a 1 technique, which is essentially right on outside eye of the center. So typically you're dealing with a lot more double teams. You're having to stand up. He's not the biggest guy. So even though he has been doing it, you can make, like, he struggles with that if you can continue to do it enough and make him have to sit there and hunker down on those double teams. It's not something that he likes to do. So that's another reason why I feel very good about this. But you have to at least have that available to make them think of that, to make them have to say, all right, I can't get in this wide through like I want. I can't just pin my ears back and rush. I have to sit here and play this thing more honest. I think that's the recipe for us to be successful. You don't have to run it. I'm not saying run it 50 times. I'm not saying run it 30 times or 20. I'm just saying effectively. Just effectively. Washington, we talked about them. They did a great job of that last week against us.
Sure. All right. Now, this is probably the most interesting part.
It is.
I actually have a bunch of questions on this one.
Yeah.
Their offense versus our defense. You want to start?
Definitely.
All right, go for it.
I like it. I mean, well, we know the obvious. We know Josh Allen. We talked about him a little bit, obviously, early on. He's having an MVP caliber season as well. He's put up the gaudy numbers. He's had the clutch performances, the come from behind performances. The biggest thing with him, man, he's improved so much with his accuracy. I mean, obviously we've highlighted that a lot with some of the breakdowns and things like that. But the thing with Josh, man, he's gonna extend plays. You just have to catch him when he's doing too much hero ball. Right now, when he sits in the pocket, man, he has a rocket arm. Strongest arm in the league. It's not a debate from my standpoint. Now, we're not talking about the most accurate or the most prolific or the most acrobatic or the prettiest. But in terms of just sheer power, he can be flat-footed.
But he's built that touch this year, though.
Absolutely. He definitely has. So to me, I look at it like this, man. The games that he struggled are the games where he's been trying to do too much. Once he makes that first guy miss, right? Because the O-line for the Bills has struggled a lot this year. They consistently have struggled ever since the beginning of the year. I want to say their right tackle, Cody Ford, went down. And from there, Darrell Williams had to come in. Now, he's played in Carolina for a little while, but now up in Buffalo, he hasn't been as consistent, and he has been the weakest part of that offensive line. To me, whenever I see Josh making a guy miss, it's typically been off of him. But from there, sometimes you're looking like, hey, just throw the ball away or just run the ball. And because of him being able to make some of these plays downfield that he's been able to do at a high clip this year, he forces the ball sometimes. And we've seen teams been able to turn him over from that standpoint. So to me, I think that's the biggest thing right now. Because when you talk about Stephon Diggs is a top level receiver. I mean, I think right now he's fourth in the league in receiving yards right now, but he's been just prolific since coming to Buffalo. Him and Josh have connected really well. Cole Beasley is another guy for that Bills offense that has been very consistent. Now they're down John Brown, which is a huge boost for us defensively because John gave us problems last year and he has been very productive this year when he was healthy. So him being down is going to be a huge boost. But even their running backs.
Davis is good, though.
Absolutely. The rookie,
that's
Gabriel
been crazy.
Davis,
like,
man. Yes,
I clip up those top plays and stuff for you. You've sent me quite a few with him. And
absolutely.
He is almost I think he has over 500 yards this year. For a rookie, that's not bad at all.
Absolutely. And the thing is, he doesn't get talked about nowhere near as much because obviously when you got a class that has a Chase Claypool, Justin Jefferson, a CeeDee Lamb, and all these other marquee names, you don't really talk about Gabriel Davis. When you watch him on tape, man, he's a very productive player, sure-handed, and has produced some very big plays for that Bills offense. So when you talk about their skill players, and we haven't even talked about the running backs, Zach Moss and Devin Singletary, they've been effective also, man, with some of their timely runs, but then more so out the backfield catching the ball too, man. Some of the screen stuff they like to do. They are very talented at the skill position standpoint. That's why I say they're very similar to us. They're skill position players. They can go with the best of them. It's not going to be too many stadiums they walk in where they don't feel they have the goods offensively. But the reason why I'm very confident in the Steelers in this matchup is we know we excel on defense when we can create pressure, when we can create havoc. And the thing that the Bills have struggled with is keeping Josh clean. Like I said, he makes a good amount of guys miss, and that's why you won't see the crazy amount of sack numbers. But when you watch him for 4 quarters in these games, he does so much to get out of the pocket in terms of making this guy miss, stepping up, dodging that guy. The guy's pulling on it. Like I said, it looks like vintage Ben. It looks like young Ben in terms of just multiple guys on him and him being able to make plays. The Steelers specialize in that, though. The Steelers, I mean, we haven't seen too many situations where the Steelers have pressure and don't get the quarterback down. We don't see a lot of that, even against Lamar Jackson, who was probably the most dynamic in terms of athletic ability, make you miss ability. Even he was contained when we played him earlier in the season. So when
Deshaun Watson, and we talked about Carson Wentz, but he's just gone on a downward slide from that point, man.
It's been
like
bad.
He was a little bit better for our game, at least.
Yes, it is bad now. Golly. But hey, we're going to get to see Jalen Hurts at a full-time capacity, so that's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
bro.
It was time. It was time. At least try something new.
Dude, it was rough, man. But when we're talking about with that O-line for the Bills, though, like I said, they have struggled. And I do think that, man, the Steelers, they consistently, when they create pressure, especially their ability to do it with their front four, they get home. When those guys are back there, they're not missing a lot of sacks. They're not going to allow quarterbacks to just throw them off. So that, to me, is why I'm excited, because I know when Josh has been pressured consistently, he has struggled. But when he's been able to make that wave miss, he will kill you. So to me, that's why I'm excited, because I know TJ Watt, how many sacks have we seen TJ miss? TJ don't miss sacks. Tua doesn't miss sacks like
just
that.
Sucks, no bud.
That's the one I'm worried about. But this is the reason why I'm not as concerned. TJ plays what? He's going to be on the left side, right? So he's going up against the right tackle, who we just highlighted as the weakest part of that offense, Darrell Williams. TJ has to dominate that matchup. Anytime they're dropping back to pass, that has to be the one where you're dominating. Because on the other side, Deion Dawkins, he's been playing extremely well. He got rewarded with a big time contract right before the season started. So for Alex Highsmith, it's going to be good to see a test for him to see how he can play against a better upper echelon tackle. But I'm not expecting a lot from him as it pertains to the pass rushing element. I think he'll do well, but I don't expect him to light it up like I'm expecting from TJ. I'm not expecting what I would expect from Bud Dupree from Alex Highsmith this week. I feel like that can come, but this is going to be his second start. You have to taper your expectations a little bit, because otherwise you're going to come out here and you're going to feel very disappointed in his performance potentially. And I just don't think that that's fair for him at this particular stage in his career.
Yeah. I'm with you, dude. I mean, that's the obvious thing, is like just make Josh Allen uncomfortable. The thing is, though, I got to give him props, because in that 49ers game and some of the games that I was kind of watching, man, like, one, he's actually pretty good if just as a drop back passer now. Like, he could drop back and he could find a little slant over the middle, a little drag route or something. He's able to hit that. And then two, if he drops back and he's able to feel the pressure, depending, like in that 49ers game, it was weird because they kind of pressured him, but not really, because he looked actually really comfortable in the pocket and like moving around where he sensed some pressure. It wasn't anything where he had to completely go outside the pocket or dodge tackles or anything like that. So that was impressive to me. But then also he's able to do that where if a guy's about to tackle him and it's like real pressure, he can get out of that and like make a really good throw. Yeah. The thing that I guess the thing that my question is about is just general decision making, because there were some times where I saw him just maybe make some bad throws, even though the pressure wasn't completely on him. Is there anything that you see from defenses? Is it zone? Is it man that kind of throw him off from that standpoint?
That's the funny part. Honestly, I've seen him light up man and zone. The problem, I feel like with him right now, he's getting to that stage where it's becoming easy for him. I mean, I've showed you some of the clips where he's literally just standing there at a flat foot standstill, because he knows if a rush gets to me, I'm good enough to make this guy miss. I'm strong enough to get him off me. And in turn, when he's looking downfield, because he's been able to put the ball in very tight windows, we've talked about, even with Ben sometimes, right? We say, man, even though he can make that throw, if we're doing this 10 times, he might only make that throw 3 times where it works out. For Josh, he's starting to understand that. And it's still taking a little bit more time for him to fully understand that, hey, just because I could make this throw maybe once or twice, that I shouldn't be doing this 10 times because it's not going to work out well for me. I feel like that's the stage he's in. And obviously it's going to take time to get out of that, because it's more so you have to understand that even though you have elite level confidence in yourself, those guys are still professionals. You can't disrespect them that much and expect not to get burnt eventually. So to me, that's been his biggest issue when you talk about some of those throws down the field where, like you said, there's no pressure. He's just looking down. He's like, I can make this throw. I can make this throw. I've done it before. And then it's like, well, dude, that's a tough throw to make. Like, take this higher percentage throw, where you can make this throw 10 times and 9 of these times is going to be a completion. That's what he has to get better at. But man or zone, teams don't want to play man against him because of his running ability. Even though he's still been pass first, he can break your back. They still have design runs with him. And honestly, some of his turnovers have come from him just fumbling the ball after a 15, 20-yard gain, solely based on guys being in man coverage, backs turning, he just takes off. So that's why you don't want to man coverage him. But then zone-wise, Cole Beasley and Stephon Diggs have done such great jobs of finding the soft spots that puts you in a bind as well. If he's just able to sit back there and just look and find the holes, he picks you apart that way. So that's why it's more so the teams that have been successful have just capitalized on those moments where he makes a mistake. If he puts the ball on the ground, don't allow him to get it back. You have to recover it. If he has one of those throws where he's forcing it somewhere because he just believes he can make that throw, those are the plays you have to capitalize. The teams that have capitalized on those moments have made that Bills offense struggle. If they don't capitalize on those moments, this offense can move the ball up and down the field with the best of them. That's just how they are right now. It's crazy to see them grow to this stage, especially after last year, because last year they were they were flirting with that, but it wasn't consistent. You would see it maybe 1 or 2 games, but then it would disappear. They have been able to put that together for a large portion of the season this year, which has been one of the biggest reasons why they've been so successful.
Yeah. What are you thinking we talk about their talent then with the running backs, receiver position? I'm thinking more or less the running back here too, with the linebackers now.
That's going to be the interesting part,
we bringing in Marcus Allen? You think we bring in Brooks here?
Well, this is the part that I'm going to be excited to see. Obviously, Vince Williams is healthy. He's been their guy. We're anticipating Avery Williamson having a large role this week. Now, even though Coach Tomlin has said that he's leaving the light on for Spillane could be available. All reports are showing that Spillane is more than likely going to be out for some time. Not surgical, but it's going to take some time. So I want to see what's their trust level in Vince Williams and Avery Williamson. Are they going to allow those two guys? Because the thing is this, when you look at the Bills from their bigger body personnel, right, their running backs and tight ends, Devin Singletary and Zach Moss, they provide some issues. At the tight end position, though, Dawson Knox, he's a decent receiving tight end, but he's not going to scare you, right?
Nothing better than Logan Thomas.
Right.
Although Logan Thomas burned us, but
the thing was this, like, they're good. If you allow these guys to run free, can they capitalize? Without a doubt. Are they going to catch the ball? Without a doubt. But they're not the
better than some of the
type,
some of the other tight ends we played this year.
And that's what we're alluding to. So I'm like, can Vince and Avery hold up against those guys? I personally think that they can. And the reason why I said it's only one, because Lee Smith, and that's my dog. I mean, we played up in Buffalo a couple of years. He's more so a glorified extra lineman. Even though he's a tight end, he was a tight end number. He's a tackle.
He's been in the league for a minute then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Is he like Udonis Haslam up there?
Basically, but the thing is, it's like they use him solely to block. So when he comes on the field, he's not running a route. And the thing is, he's had some receiving touchdowns because of the trickeration. It's like, we're not expecting this guy to run a route. Okay. And then he literally will slip out on the goal line and turn around and catch a pass. That's the extent of his offensive, his passing ability, pass catching ability. Other than that, though, he's an elite level blocker. So I do anticipate TJ seeing some of him in terms of they're not going to leave Daryl Williams over there for 4 quarters and just have Daryl try to hold up against TJ. They are going to have Lee Smith over there because that is what Lee does. Lee is an irritant. Think of a Dennis Rodman type, right? Lee is going to do all the extra stuff, man. The whistle blew. He's going to give you the extra 2 shoves just to get you a little irritated. He's going to bump you. He's going to untie your strings if you're in the pile. He's that type of guy. But that's what they like with him because that helps them from a protection standpoint. It helps them largely in the run game standpoint, but it's a sign. It's a telltale. If he's out there, we're only worried about these receivers and that running back. He doesn't give you anything from a receiving standpoint, especially in the open field. Goal line, like I said, it's more, you got to think of him like an extra lineman. Could Gerald Hawkins run a route? Sure. But we're not losing sleep over him running that route. That's all I'm saying. Whereas when he's not on the field and Dawson Knox is, well, now okay, they're thinking about pass heavy right now. The run, we're not even thinking about a run. No Lee out there, we're not thinking about that. So they do tip their hand with some of those tendencies. So knowing that, I do think that Avery and Vince will be able to be a lot more prepared for that. If they see Lee out there and it's Zach Moss, okay, we need to make sure we're focusing on Zach. We're not worried about Lee right now. If Devin's out there, same concept. And I think that's going to be how they handle that. But I don't necessarily want to go the route of, all right, let's put Marcus Allen in there. Let's go let's go Brooks, because when you start putting smaller guys in there, the Bills are not afraid to run that ball. And if they feel like they can have success running, they will run it. They've had games where they've said, man, you know what? We're having success running the ball. Just keep doing it. And if you can't stop it, it's a bad feeling, but they will keep doing that thing until you find something that you can do different about that. So that's why I don't necessarily want to go small ball against them right now.
Okay, that works. Hopefully, we'll see about Hayden. I'm assuming he's going to be out.
I am too, bro, especially when it happened in the 4th quarter. That's the problem. If it was early in the game, I'm like, all right, maybe, it was early on in the night, we're all right, but you talking about it being Monday night in the 4th quarter, and now we're talking about playing on Sunday. I'm like, that's a quick turnaround.
But like you said, Justin Layne, if you were impressed by him last game, you think we can at least get 90% of what Joe Hayden is with Justin Layne? 85?
That's asking. This is the only reason why I don't want to say a percentage like that, because athletically, Justin can do some really good things. Obviously, he's a taller cornerback, right? So he's going to give you some different benefits that Joe necessarily doesn't have. But the reason why I don't want to say 80 or 90% is because if we're just speaking physical attributes, sure. But what you can't account for is the mental. what Joe brings from a mental standpoint, the amount of ball that he's seen, the route combinations. I mean, I take it back 2 weeks to the pick six that he had against RG3. Man, you talk about textbook cover 2 corner by Joe Hayden. Man, reroute on number 1 receiver, sink a second, eyes on number 2. Okay, he sees the outbreaking route before RG3 even releases the ball. He's already breaking. Justin isn't at that stage just yet. Justin is in the stage of,
trying to get by.
What's my assignment? All right, I'm doing my job. I'm not trying to see this, and this. I'm doing my job. It says reroute this guy, I'm rerouting that guy. So that is why I don't want to put a percentage of 80 or 90, because then it's going to give people a false sense of what he is capable of. Physically, sure, but mentally, there's going to be a major difference between the two guys.
It'd really suck if Nelson's out, but they're talking about him playing.
Yeah,
right?
he did practice yesterday, so that was a positive. Okay. Now, we don't know in terms of the capacity. I want to say, I believe he was full, but I'm not 100% sure on it. But he did at least practice. So to me, that is a positive sign. Now, today and tomorrow are going to tell us it's going to tell us a lot more, because typically when a guy is ruled out, that first practice back is 50-50. He might come out there and do the whole thing and be fine. He might come out there and do the whole practice and then be, banged up again the next day and so forth. So you never really know how they're going to respond. So that's what we're just waiting to see. All right, once the practice report comes out, what do they say about him? And as the week progresses, we'll know a lot more. But if him and Joe were out, that could be a major issue. Yeah. That could present some big time problems, because Cam Sutton, we said he's more built for the interior. He's more built for a nickel corner, a slot corner, versus being out there on the perimeter with some of the bigger body receivers. Yeah,
and we've seen, like Cam Sutton, Justin Layne last week, them in some big spots play pretty well. Mm-hmm. It's just, we talked about Buffalo receivers, though. They do have a good unit there. Yeah. So this might be just a little bit different from that aspect. But, dude, it's going to be a good game, man. I do think it comes down to a lot of stuff that we talked about way back in the beginning. We just got 2 really good teams here.
Yeah,
we got 2 really good teams.
I'm excited. You talk about just good on good in all 3 phases, because that's the other thing, right? We have Ray McCloud, who was actually a former Buffalo Bill, but Ray is here for a reason, because Revenge they had but you know why? Their returner, Andre Roberts, he is a top notch. I mean, this dude has been an all pro before. He's been a pro. I think he was a Pro Bowler last year as a return man. Kickoff, punt, like this dude, he is a legit bona fide return guy. He's house stuff multiple times throughout his career. That's going to be another interesting element to me, because we talk about the offense and defense, and we know how impactful that is.
We got to play the special teams.
This is going to be a huge element of it. And obviously, we didn't even get to the kicking situation, because Boz is still right now. I mean, I'm giving him 50-50, but we don't even know that just yet.
And do you feel good about it?
I personally don't, because and I'm saying I don't feel good about if Boz isn't out there, because when they didn't want to kick the 45-yard field goal,
yards.
To me, I just don't understand. If this is the NFL, if you don't feel comfortable with your kicker being able to kick a 45-yard field goal, why is he on the roster? That to me is the biggest issue. And that's not
maybe we're just scarred from that Scobie stuff.
And to me, that's not even a shot at Matt. It's just more so from the personnel standpoint. If I'm signing kickers, there are multiple kickers out here that can make 45-yard field goals. At the NFL level, we look at 50 as the barometer, right? 50 lets me know if you're a really good kicker or just an average kicker. But 45 is like, that's NFL minimum. That's standard. Like, you should be able to hit anywhere in the 40s consistently. So the fact that you have him on the team and you don't feel comfortable enough to him to kick a 45-yard field goal, to me, that is an issue, because this could be a game where it comes down to a field goal, and I personally think it will. So if that's the case, right now, they have a very, very strong advantage from that standpoint. So that to me is going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays out in Pittsburgh, if Boz is available or not, or if they'll have more confidence in the younger kicker.
But even if Boz goes out there coming off this injury, they're saying he's like 50-50 this week.
Yeah,
he's missed some kicks this year too. I don't know how much.
Absolutely, man.
I don't know how much. When did he get the injury? Was it in
nobody
the last
knows?
Game
that's the thing.
I have no clue.
There hasn't been any documentation of when he went down. We just know he randomly popped up on the injury report a week ago. But it reminded me of the year where he struggled. That would have been 2018, right? Where the whole season we're just seeing him miss. We're like, what's going on with Boz? And then he just gets put on IR randomly out the blue. And we're like, well, he was never even on the injury report all season. So I don't know if that's this type of scenario either. But that is very concerning because we saw how it affected us versus Washington. If we kick that field goal and we go up 2017, it's a different ball game. But you don't kick the field goal, you get stopped on 4th down. Now we're over here. Washington is just playing for the win. They don't have to play for a touchdown. They're playing for a field goal. So that to me makes me uneasy this week just because we know how tight of a game this is going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Who do we have after then? We have Bengals?
Yeah.
Is it Bengals or Colts?
I want to say...
Either way, the Bengals game, we don't got to worry about it as much. But Colts game,
that's going to be another one.
Colts are a good team too.
Absolutely.
And then
the same
Browns
we're
as
talking
well.
right here. Yeah, 3 of the last 4 are going to be conversations like we're having right now where it's like, dude, all right, it's even, or they might have an advantage in some of these areas. Like, how are we going to respond to that? So that to me is the interesting part, man.
Yeah. We got anything else?
Man.
Score predictions? Any hot topics?
Is it time for score predictions?
It might be, dude.
Oh, man.
I can't think of anything else, dude.
I'm over here
I think we
right now, yeah.
I think we got everything.
Dude, did we really?
I really think so. Because
all right. I feel like we have. I'm with you. I feel like we did.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know if there's anything I'm missing.
So, you know what it is time for when you talk score predictions. I'm interested to see how this works out because typically
I know
the beard in 27-13.
I know.
I'm
not touching either of those numbers. I was about to.
Okay.
I'm not touching them.
Okay.
It's a fresh start.
Okay. I was like, are we going back to?
And we're not doing the same score or anything. This is new. This is new.
Bro, this is groundbreaking.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I wrote it down actually. I think I forget my score prediction already.
I like this.
I think I forget my score prediction. Let me check it because I might be a number or two off.
Well, all I'm saying is this: you with that mustache, I trust you so much more now. Beforehand, I thought you might have tried to steal something or rob me or anything, but right there, you look really...
With the beard.
Yeah, you might hack me, but you're not going to, like, assault me. You know, if that makes sense, like, just off the look. And I like the layers, too, man. You got the hoodie with the denim jacket. Like, this is a whole different you, man. I am just amazed. I really appreciate this new Deke. I like this new look right here, man.
Okay, I got my score.
Here we go.
31-25. I thought it was either that or 31-26, but I got to go with what I initially thought here. You got to go with the gut reaction.
I like
so
it.
31-25. I think it's going to be a scoring affair here. I really do.
It's Steelers, correct?
Steelers, correct.
Yep. They say put it on the air.
You got to clear that up. You're right.
Because I was especially this week because I'm like, well, you've never shaved. We haven't shaved the beard this year. We haven't changed the score. I'm like, you did say 30 to the day. I'm like, is this one of those? I'm just checking. All right.
Nah, come on. Well, as long as we got Ben, Ben, I'm always predicting us a win on a week by week basis. So
that's what I was just asking. Make sure we're on the same page. Okay.
Yep.
I like that though, man. Honestly, it's funny. My score is very similar. I have it 31-28 Steelers.
Wow.
I think, man, both of these offenses are going to be able to move the ball. Both of these defenses, they are very talented, but they are wounded. They're walking wounded right now at all levels, man. Each team is going to have guys missing or guys coming into action, maybe not 100% healthy. I do think both of these offenses will light it up. I just feel like in a game like this, in a tough game with a lot of stakes on the line, I do think that Ben makes that play at the end. I think that, and now obviously this goes back to, we need our kicker to be good because I do think it's going to be one of those 28-28 scenarios where we have one of those game-winning drives. But if we don't have that field goal action, that makes me very, very nervous.
You know what this kicker, you know what his vibes give me? It's definitely Schweezem. Like, I don't think he can kick anything over 50, but he looks pretty accurate.
He's super accurate under 40.
Like it didn't look like from
49 and under, he's money.
It didn't look like from his kicking stroke, there's like a lot going on there. It seems like, all right, everyone's just going to go between those field goal posts, but you're not going to really get much power out of it, which is fine because Schweezem worked for us for a little bit. He was really good.
No question, man.
He just couldn't kick anything over like 50 yards.
And let's be real, if it wasn't for the Hall of Fame game and him turning his knee up, I mean, dude, he probably would have still been kicking for a couple of years after that. But that to me is the only part that makes me uneasy. As confident as I am with the 31-28, it's with the belief that our kicking is going to be varsity. Not, hey, I don't feel comfortable with this guy being out here at 45 yards or 43 yards. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that at all. If that's the scenario, we're going to struggle. It's going to be a bad time. But as long as our kicking game is fine, I love it. I think we get it 31-28.
Yeah, who the hell is even out there? There's got to be a college senior that graduated last year.
Saying.
That was a top 10 kicker in college.
We're talking about just 45 yards. We found Randy Bullock, who's been kicking for the Bengals now for 4 years. We signed him off the street after we had went through 3 kickers that season. He can hit 45. So to me, I'm just like, dude,
Jeff Reed return.
You know what I mean? Like, dude, we can find a kicker to kick a 45-yard field goal. That's all I'm saying. Like, to me, that and as much as people criticize the throw that Ben made to McFarland, I like I said, my biggest thing, I'm just like, bro, the fact that the decision was based on you not having confidence in a 45-yard kick. If you said, hey, I feel like we can get this 4th and 1, I'm completely fine with that. Don't tell me, hey, I didn't really want to go for it. I just did it because I didn't want to kick this 45-yard field goal with this guy. To me, that's living in your fears. To me, that's playing not to lose. And I don't think that's going to get you out of this stadium against Buffalo, man.
It's weird because it's a catch-22. It comes off as you're not living in your fears because you're going for it. That's the man thing. Like, you go for it. Come on. Yeah. Come on.
But he's like,
let's control the game here.
I just didn't want to kick the field goal with the 45 yards. I'm like, no, what are you doing? Like, so as long as that's not the case, I'm very confident in it.
We both got us dropping 31.
Yeah, I do think both of these defenses, man, as well as they've played, they both have struggled at times. And I just don't see a scenario where some of the turnovers that the Bills have been able to generate defensively, it's been a lot of confusing these quarterbacks, different trap concepts. Tre'Davious White does a great job whenever he's in cover 3 of baiting guys in terms of you looking like the override is going to be there because that's where the void is typically, and him just doing a great job at the last second of hopping in front of the ball. He did it last week against the Niners. He did it earlier against Russell. Like, he does a great job of that. But you're not fooling Ben with that. That's to me the difference. And I just feel like, man, with the combat catches that these guys can make and have shown throughout the year, I think that overwhelms them, and that's the difference in the game.
I'm hoping so. Let's get the dub here. Stay the 1 seed, man, because Chiefs have a tough game coming up with the Dolphins. Although they got banged up somehow, right?
They did,
on defense. Yeah. Howard, right? Am I wrong on that?
No, you're absolutely right, man. They did get banged up a little bit. That's going to be
all those lucky breaks the Chiefs are getting.
Talk about it. Like I said, man, we got big time ball across the board, though, man. Not only that game with the Chiefs and
we got
Dolphins,
one tonight, Pats, Rams.
Yeah, man. And then we already talked about Ravens, Browns. Like, there are a ton of big time make or break matchups, man. You talk about Cleveland, Baltimore. If Baltimore drops that game and they lose their 6th game,
well, they're done. Yeah,
that's a totally different ball game. Now, granted, they'll have some easier opponents at the end part of their season, but still, like, that is very daunting to ask them to have to run off those 3-4 in a row. With Cleveland wins, they're still in that mix of winning the division. If they lose, now
it's us.
And we win. Now, they lose, we win, we got it now. So that's big time ramifications. Buffalo and Miami, same scenario. So even with Miami being injured a little bit going into this game against the Chiefs, they still have everything they're looking for.
Even just to make the playoffs, because if the Ravens win and the Dolphins lose, or even like the Colts lose, some type of scenario like that, now the Ravens are only like a game out.
Absolutely. So, man, it's when we talk about big time ball this weekend, this across the NFL, man, these are going to be some marquee premier matchups with big time ramifications. And that's why I'm excited, baby. But what else I am excited about, because we talked about DraftKings earlier, right? Mm-hmm. But we didn't get a chance to talk about DraftKings Sportsbook right here, which is, the top rated sportsbooking app in America. And for all the first time users out there, if you use the promo code
Moats,
use the promo code Moats, you'll receive up to $1,000 in deposit bonus money. But what I'm excited about is this. I got to talk about my picks, all right? So, typically, I love when I'm talking about my Steelers, I'm going money line this. I'm going, Big Ben, 1.5 touchdowns, this and that, right? I love those things, right? But in this particular week, because the prop bet isn't available to me in terms of the 1.5 yet, we got to go with the alternative. So this week, what I went with was 2 things, and both were in this Steelers and Bills game. First, the Pittsburgh Steelers, plus 1.5. That means that even if they were to lose, they would have to lose by more than 2 points. Okay. So for me, first off, I'm like, I love that you're going to give me essentially 2 points in this type of game, which I think is going to be tight anyways. I like that a lot for the Steelers. More importantly, I already think they're going to win, but that gives you a little bit of reassurance. It gives you a little bit of insurance.
Little cushion. Yeah.
Because it's a tight game. And you heard what we talked about with the kicking situation. So that gives you a little bit of a safety net to, like I said, hedge it a little bit. That's what I'm doing. But then the second part is this, because with Steelers plus 1.5, their odds are minus 110. So they're not terrible. It's decent because obviously how tight of a matchup it is. So it's not the end of the world. But the second part I like is this: total points for both teams combined over 38 points. You heard my score prediction, right? I said, 31-28. That is going to double that 38 point total, essentially, right? Mm-hmm. I do feel that both of these teams are going to be able to move the ball and score on both of these defenses. Yeah. I think that, you look at just how prolific both offenses have been at times. That I think is going to show up in a big way on Sunday. Now, those odds aren't the best. Those are negative 480, right? But this is the beauty. You know, we're a parlay type of situation over here. You know, parlay, a little parlay. You heard of the parlays. When you parlay the two, you get plus 132 odds. Now, that is the money. That is what you're hunting right there. So what you do, like I said, you hedge your first bet. You give you a little bit of a safety net, which you take the points for the Steelers. And then from there, you know the over is going to hit in terms of these points. And from there, when you combine them, you get that plus 132. That is a beautiful situation. Now we're talking about, you know, making some of that good old green. So those are my picks this week, man. I'm excited about it. But more importantly, man, like I said, I'm excited about this game. It's going to be a blast. Hope everybody enjoyed the podcast too, man, because this was a dope little convo, man. So with that being said, man, shout out to my man Deke and the stash. And after the game, win or loss, we did say that we were gonna, you know, leave it up to the people, right? In terms of would you keep it or not?
Well, this is gonna be a surprise because we were talking about this off the mic
a little bit, right?
I'm kind of liking the stash.
Yeah, bro, and I think the people are liking it too. From the comments I've seen, people are speaking very highly of you. We thought you were a sex symbol before. Chicks are digging the mustache, bro. I'm just throwing it out there.
Is that how it is?
They're digging the mustache, man. If you're on the market, they're digging it.
Well, we'll see, because you could frame it many ways here. You could definitely frame it many ways. Like if we get the dub with the stash, oh, maybe it is the stash because we have the stain. There's the grit there. It reminds us, right? It reminds us of like, hey, you can't let up. You can't let up because remember what happened when we let up. There's a little bit of So there's something there. Bo Cowher with the stash. So absolutely. Maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe we'll leave it up to vote.
Pittsburgh right here with the in the hat. You know what I'm saying? Like you just look like you from Pittsburgh, man.
Yeah. So
I like that look on you.
We'll see what happens, man. It's up in the air. It's definitely up in the air right now. So I'm kind of digging it. As I was thinking, I'm like, oh man, if we get the dub, I could shave the stash off. But as a day or two passes from our initial podcast, I'm thinking like, I don't know if I want the stash off.
I like the stash. So you know what, man? This is what we like to do anyways. Man, in the comment section, man, if y'all digging the stash, let us know. If you like the stash, let us know. If you hate the stash, let us know. Either way, we need to know what to do with the stash, win or lose, man, because I'm digging it.
And here's the thing, too. The people that are commenting, these are the people that watch the whole podcast. It's absolutely, like, these are the real ones here.
Yeah. You are day one 100% with us if you're watching this to this stage, which they are a good amount of people. So shout out to everybody that does do that. But more importantly, like we said, man, shout out to all the subscribers. Shout out to everybody that's been tuning in with us on this journey. Enjoy this weekend. Enjoy this game, man. And until next time,
peace.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited about this next guest here. Veteran in the league, man. Steelers linebacker we acquired through trade. He was a 5th round draft pick originally of the Tennessee Titans back in 2014 out of the University of Kentucky. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Steelers linebacker Avery Williamson. Avery, what's up, man? How are you doing today, baby?
I'm doing great. That was a hell of an intro.
Come on, man. Listen, we got big time ball this week, and more importantly, you got big time ball this week. So, you know, I had to make sure we did it the right way.
Exactly, yes, man.
And with us doing our little Tuesday shows, I can't come on mine and be a little bit slacking because now you're gonna talk bad about me. So had to make sure we introduce you the right way. That's all. But talk a little bit, man. Just how's your transition to the Steelers been, man? You've been here for a couple of weeks now.
It's been good, man. You know, they definitely took their time working me in, man. And you know, I mean, I feel like they've done a good job of just trying to transition me. And, you know, thankfully I, you know, was able to get the reps that I did, you know, before, you know, this past week because, you know, after Spillane got hurt, you know, I had to go in full time. But, you know, it's definitely been a good transition. And I feel like the playbook is not complicated, man. You know, it just got a different verbiage and, you know, a few different things. But overall, it's not too bad, man. So I feel like the transition has been good.
So what's your, I guess, inclination to doing the media? Because whenever you came over here, you're doing a bunch of radio spots. Even in the past with the Jets and the Titans, it seems like you kind of like doing that. So what was the inspiration behind you getting into media?
I mean, I've always like kind of wanted to, you know, possibly get into doing maybe some broadcasting when I'm done. But I mean, it kind of just happens because like the teams I've been on there, I was like, well, he speaks well and stuff and knows how to handle the media. And it kind of just happens like that. But once I got to New York, I actually I ended up hiring a marketing guy, so was able to like get a radio spot. And that's kind of how it happened. But
what'd you think of like the New York media being over there? Because everyone,
man, it's definitely
it's crazy.
It's different. It's different. It's crazy, man. They're definitely aggressive, and they're always looking for a story. Yeah,
gotta love New York media, baby. Yes, indeed. But talk a little bit about, man, that trade process too. It's not often we get a chance to talk to somebody that got traded during the season, man. So just talk about when you found out and how that whole thing played out for you, man.
Yeah, man. I didn't really know that anything was going to happen until that Saturday that we got to Kansas City. I got to the hotel, and my agent, I think he called me and was telling me, that the Steelers were, they had been talking back and forth with the Jets, and he really didn't know anything. He's just gonna keep me in the loop. And then after the game, like we were just taking off, and my agent texted me and said that the Steelers want to trade for me, and I was like, oh shoot, I was kind of like just really shocked, and he was like asking, can I talk? I was like, yeah, we just took off. So I was like, I'll call you, as soon as we land. So man, like it was like 5 minutes, and I called him up, and I was like, hey, so what's going on? And like everything was the situation. He was like, yeah, they were just kind of waiting on you to see if everything was cool. I was like, yeah. I was like,
are you good?
Like, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I was like, man, hurry up. So yeah, man, and man, when we landed. He told me everything was good to go, and I was just like, wow, I just couldn't believe it. And then next thing you know, I think it was Adam Schefter or Ian, one of those two. They tweeted it out. And my agent called me. He's like, did you tell somebody? I was like, dude, I haven't said nothing. I don't know how the dude found out. But,
listen, I'm still trying to figure out how they get some of this information, man. It's been times where I got hurt, and before I even know what my injury is, they've already tweeted it out. I'm just like, how did you get this info? This is nuts.
Yeah, man. So he tweeted it out, man. It was crazy, man. So I just pretty much just hustled home and said bye to some of my teammates and started packing. And next day I was up here.
Avery, what's surprised you the most being in Pittsburgh, whether it's something with the team or maybe with the city?
I definitely probably just say like the organization, just like it's just different, man. It's just like a total, just all about football. It's just like no BS. Like they're gonna play who is the best man, and it's a lot different up here, man. It's like all about winning, and that's what I really noticed as soon as I got here, and it's just a good environment. I feel like it's different. It's a lot more. I would say it's a lot more just. It's not as crazy as it was. Yeah. It's just like more just all just strict football. Like, yeah. I don't know, man. It's just different. It's different.
Well, the thing that I told people, man, from my perspective, because I came from a similar scenario when I was in Buffalo. We had a lot of organizational turnover, a little bit of dysfunction. When I got to Pittsburgh, it was so stable in terms of the coaching staff, front office, the players. Like it was more so, like you said, focused on winning and not. I'm just trying to keep my job. That was for me, that was my perspective,
Yeah, it's definitely. I definitely noticed that as well. Like I haven't been in an environment this stable ever. So even in college, it's that it just was always talk about coaches being fired and stuff. But like there's coaches here that's been here 10, 12 years or even longer. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's definitely different, man, in that aspect, and it's just like it's a lot more calm and relaxed than what I've been in situations.
Absolutely, man. Now, this past weekend against the Washington football team, you talked about a little bit earlier. I mean, you had an expanded role even before Robert went down, but then obviously after he went down, you played a lot more. So just talk about, man, how did you feel in that opportunity?
Man, I was excited, man. Like my first series in, man, I actually ended up getting a big hit, on the tight end and stuff. And man, I was just excited just to get, finally get back out there and like start getting some snaps. And so, they left me out there, like a series or two after that. And, I was just really getting in my groove. I know how to play football, and they just kind of just working me in slowly, which I understand, because they had, they definitely, Spillane, man, he was playing great ball, man. So, And when he gets back, man, you know, hopefully he'll pick right up where he left off. But man, you know, I just was excited just to get out there and just play some.
I dig that, man. And trust me, when you watch the tape on you, man, you see the excitement. You're flying around. I've been enjoying it. Definitely have. So I'm excited to see even more so this weekend from you, you know? But,
yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I wanted to bounce back a little bit, man, to back when you were in Kentucky, man. Just talk about how you ended up there at the University of Kentucky.
Man, it was kind of crazy, man. I ended up getting an offer when we went to the state championship my junior year, and I balled out there, and they ended up offering me that next year. They ended up offering me. Then I went for a visit. That summer after they offered me and stuff, and I just fell in love with it, man. I just felt at home, and didn't know anything about Kentucky football, nothing about Kentucky, period. Just passing through Kentucky. That's it. But man, I didn't know nothing about it, but I just felt at home. And man, that's just kind of how it happened, man.
Now, were you considering any other schools, or was that like your baby? You found them, they offered you, you were like, I'm good to go.
I was considering Vanderbilt. They just were kind of taking the time, and you know, they just were so slow. My dad was like, you know what, we need to go ahead and just get on Kentucky before they try to move on from us. But yeah, man, I wanted to go to Vanderbilt bad, but they just kind of just were dragging their feet. So Kentucky it was.
I was watching this video, and you said that you're a third generation farmer. Is this true?
Yeah, it is.
Like a farmer, like on the farm with animals and hay and stuff.
Yeah, man.
Wow.
Cows, everything.
How was that like growing up then? Like, how often were you out on the farm? Was it?
I was out there
every day.
What?
Every day, man.
Yo,
every day.
That's
like,
crazy.
It was a job. Like, cause my dad, he drove trucks, so I had to be out there after school. You know, when he was gone, I had to like take care of the stuff, make sure everything was good. So man, I learned how to do that stuff at a young age, and you know, still to this day, I go back and help out some. So,
wow.
Yeah, man, that's what I love to do, man. I've been doing it for years.
I like that. That is different.
So you love it. It's not like punishment or anything.
Oh yeah, I love it, man. It's relaxing.
What's like the oddest? What's the oddest thing you do on the farm? Maybe you explain it to someone. They're like, "What the hell?"
I'm just so dumbfounded right now. I don't have any clue about farm life. I'm just like, man, you say you enjoy this thing. Like, all right.
The oddest thing,
yeah,
man. I mean, all right. I'm gonna tell you. Oh yeah. I guess it'll be odd to you, but like, so like if a cow gets sick, like if they get like so like it's a thing called pink eye. So like a cow can get their eye can get infected.
Okay.
And like just from like flies transferring germs. So like it's like an old remedy like my great uncle used to do with his cows. Like whenever one of them get pink eye, you throw salt. You just get some table salt, put it in your hand, and just throw it into their eyes. But they get pissed off when you do it. It hurts, but yeah, that's probably like I guess the most odd thing I could think of at this point.
Okay.
That's pretty odd for me. I'm like, I've heard of pink eye. I've not heard of putting salt in it. I like it.
Yeah.
Now, for our listeners, just try that on cows, not people. Just
not people, yeah.
Just the cows, not the people.
Yeah, not people.
Now, man, you were a 5th round draft pick in the 2014 draft. Talk about, man, that draft story. Did you know you were getting drafted? Do you expect to go higher? Man, just what was that like for you?
Yeah, man, I expected to get drafted, and man, I was thinking I was gonna go that second day. I definitely thought I was gonna go that second day, and man, I was waiting third. Second.
Because they was second and third on the second day now, and then I think it's 4 through 7 on that third.
Yeah. So I was definitely expecting to go that second day, and man, I was upset a little bit after didn't go third round, and then third day came. I'm waiting. That 4th round went by. I'm like, dang, like what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, right. I wanted to kind of just being hesitant. But yeah, man, when it finally happened, I was just like shocked. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of like it's kind of like, you never see people get that call, and you just never like, man, is this really gonna happen?
Right.
But man, I was really excited, man, and when I got that call and realized I was 2 hours away from the house. It was even crazier.
And now, speaking of you getting that call, that following year, your second year, you get one of the most legendary defensive coordinators or defensive coaches in NFL history, in Dick LeBeau. Man, just talk about what that was like for you as well, man, or anything that you took from being around him.
Yeah, man, it was really cool. Just being able to, be around Coach LeBeau, man. He definitely, phenomenal coach, man, legendary coach. And, man, I say what I learned from him, you can have a great defense and just run 5 or 6 calls, and and still be great. So like, man, LeBeau was just like, he'd have I remember he'd have like a sticky note in his hands during the game. He'd be taking a while to make the call. Like, coach, we got like 3 calls on the sheet. Like, just call something. Man, LeBeau, man, he's a cool dude. Never really seen him get like too pissed off. I saw him get pissed off like a couple times, but not really. And man, LeBeau's a really cool dude, man. Just like always got a story to tell.
Always. And did he sing for y'all during Christmas?
Oh yeah, he got the
the night before Christmas, right?
Night before Christmas, yeah. Yep, he always do that, man. So I got to experience that.
That's dope, man. Years. That is dope. Now, transitioning to this week, man. What are you seeing from the Bills offensively on tape, man? What are some of the keys to ultimately, man, making y'all guys have a successful performance against them?
Yeah, man. The thing with the Bills, man, really, we're just gonna have to make sure that we're keeping him in the pocket, keep Josh Allen in the pocket. We're definitely gonna have to make him uncomfortable back there. Can't just let him sit back there and throw, because man, he's improved with his throwing, and man, he's making some great throws, and man, he's definitely doing some great things back there. So we got to make sure that we're getting pressure on him, and that's how we're going to be able to beat this team. Just can't just let him sit back there and pick us apart.
Absolutely. And for those that don't know, you actually have already faced him this year as well when you were with the Jets also, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Would have faced him twice. I strained my hamstring that first leading up to that first week.
The opening way, yeah.
We played him, yeah. So yeah, man, it's my second time playing against him. So I know the team, and man, it's ready to go out there and get a win, man. I've been up there, played before, so it's definitely a tough team. When the fans are there, it's a tough environment. But yeah, it's a team that's definitely playing some good ball. So we're gonna have to we got work cut out for us, but definitely know this group will be ready.
What has been your experience like thus far with Coach Tomlin? Has he given any like sayings that make you think or anything like that? Do you have a Coach Tomlin story thus far?
I guess not yet. But I mean, overall, man, he just super, he just like laid back, man. He's like, he chill. He'll keep it real with you, man. Like, he ain't gonna sugarcoat anything. Like, that's the thing I like about Coach Tomlin, man. Like, he'll tell you how it is, and if you're doing good or doing bad, he's gonna tell you, and there's no in between. So that's the thing I really appreciate about him, because a lot of organizations that beat around the bush, but it's just like, I rather you tell me straight, how am I doing? What do you like, don't like? But man, overall, he's a good dude, and only met him like once before I signed here, and but man, definitely I've enjoyed playing for him these last few weeks.
I like
that. Yeah,
that's
what literally everyone has said. That's what Moats has said. Any other Steeler, we talk about Tomlin. That's it, word for word.
Laid back,
yeah,
sharp mentally, knows how to motivate. I mean, it's a good dude to be around, man. It's exactly. How you explain it, right?
Exactly.
So, man, throughout your 7 years in the NFL now, man, talk about the best player you've had to play against so far through your career.
The best player, I mean, I'm definitely gonna get some good guys, man. Probably if I'm just gonna focus on I was probably just focused on the quarterback position, man. Like, I mean, Tom Brady. I mean, I faced him.
Yeah, multiple times in that division, right?
Well, yeah, I faced him in the division. Yeah, the division, and then with the Titans, you know, I played against them. So, man, I mean, shoot, it's always tough playing up there, you know, with you know, I don't know, man, it's just something about that place. Tom Brady, man, like
I'm glad that you said it, because when I was in Buffalo, we would play them twice a year, and I would always say, man, I don't know how, I don't know what it is. It's just something about that place. It's
something about it, man.
Weird stuff happens in stadiums up there, man. It's super weird.
Never won there.
Right. Exactly. I'm like, I don't know how that can happen, but that has happened.
Yep, never won there, man. So I'd say it's Tom.
I can dig that, man. And now, Avery, the last question we got for you, man, before we let you up out of here. Talk about your welcome to the NFL moment.
Welcome to the NFL moment. Man, let me think. I'm trying to think. My first game was, I don't know, man. I welcome to the NFL moment.
This might be the first no answer.
I know, right?
I mean, I really didn't have like a.
You don't welcome me. I welcome you to the NFL.
I really didn't have like a play where I was just like,
yeah,
like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? Got ran over bad.
Right.
Man, I'll probably say a training camp. It was in practice. I was going against the ones, and this dude Michael Orr. This dude
blindside.
I'm up here. I'm you know, I don't know what I was doing, man. Running after the ball or something like that. And I had to take him on, and this dude literally drives me like 10, 15 yards and then power drive me into the ground.
Oh,
I was so pissed.
It was like the movie.
And the fans was there too.
No!
Yeah, the fans was there. So I was like, dang. I was like, yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
Oh,
it was bad.
Man.
Yeah.
Did you like the movie? All right.
Yeah, he did me like that.
That's legit right
hot.
there. That's legit.
I was hot.
I like it, man. Hey, Avery, we appreciate you, man. You were a blast. No more welcome to the NFL moments, man, but keep doing what you do, man. We're excited about you here in Pittsburgh, and we're just excited to see you continue to grow and progress here, man. So keep being great, man.
Super excited. I appreciate it.
No doubt, bro. Peace.
All right, man. Peace.
Y'all have a good one.
You too.
All right.